Okay, go on.
Our article that we are presenting to you today is called Lessons from Skateboarders, and I'm Brenna.
So, the problem is that students are having a hard time, and teachers are having a hard time trying to get students to stay motivated. Like, you see students like out on the field or on their skateboards, and they're amped and they're excited about what they're doing, but teachers are having a hard time keeping students with that motivation in the classroom.
So this is based on this. The author of the article starts it off by saying he's driving around his neighborhood and he sees all these skateboarder kids hanging out on the corner, and he sees that these are kids that people like labeled as unmotivated or unwilling to perform in class, or just slackers, I guess, basically. And then he sees them on the street corner on their skateboarders doing these tricks, and he says they have a failure rate of about like 100 to 1. So they're failing 100 times and succeeding once, but still they keep trying and trying and trying. He's like, why would these kids be willing to do this on their skateboards and on the athletic field, but not in class? And so he, after doing research and finding an article that was talking about these things, he coined the acronym SUBUPO. That's not what we're calling it. CUBPO, which stands for
Competent, belong, useful, potent, and optimistic.
So if we can make the students have all these feelings, and we'll go through them and how to do that, then he believes that we can keep them motivated in school as well as on the athletic. Okay, so competency, he explains as being assessing. Students have authentic evidence of success, so they can see themselves succeeding. They have, like when you're skateboarding and you pull off a trick, as soon as you land it, that's your concrete evidence of success. But in school, students need to have the same thing, but academically, obviously. And he says the best way to achieve this is through personal record. So skaters and athletes use their own personal records more so than comparing themselves to others. If you think back, if you ever played sports or whatever, yeah, competing against other people is important, but beating your own time or getting the best score that you've gotten or scoring the most points you have in a game are usually more important to you than beating the other kid on the team, because you want to beat yourself more than you want to beat other people. And so he's saying we need to apply this to the classroom. So instead of using words like the kid is proficient or not proficient, we should start talking one-on-one with our students and creating personal records with them so that they can track their own progress and see how well they're doing themselves. So like if a kid is, he gives the example, if there's two students and one of them is proficient or like at grade level and there's another child who's behind the grade level, but the student who's at grade level continues at that rate and grows at the same rate to get to the next grade level for the next grade. If students behind and then increases a grade level and a half over the year, but is still behind because they're not up to the next grade level yet, feels like they haven't accomplished anything. So if we did the personal record and showed them that they increased a grade level and a half, even though they're still behind, they're still doing great progress, and they have their own personal rate of growth to measure themselves by, as opposed to comparing themselves to each other, which makes them not feel competent.
The next one is making the students feel like they belong. A lot of the times, like, you know, if you're on a team, you know you're a part of the team and you'll do what you need to do to help the team succeed, but in the classroom, a lot of kids don't feel like they have a place in the classroom. They're just there to get a grade. They're there to be told what to do. But if we're able to make students feel like the classroom is their community, like they are an important part in their classroom, they would feel like they should try harder, and yeah, they would feel like they have a purpose in the classroom, so they would want to do more. The article talks about the kids on the street. If they're skateboarding, they're there and they encourage each other and they build each other up, and having that as a part of the community in the classroom really would help students to feel like they should do it and they can do it.
And he says also important for this is incorporating different learning styles and different like intelligences of students, and to remember that in your classroom activities is a way to make them feel like they belong. The U part of Subuko is usefulness. So we need to make the kids feel useful in the classroom. As skaters practice in groups, they teach each other, they encourage each other, they learn from each other, so they feel useful in their group. Like, I can teach you something, you can teach me something. We need to do the same thing in the classroom. So one strategy he suggests is doing cooperative learning or team learning. And this is like creating teams in your classroom, and so each team can either compete against itself or against other teams. So academically they're earning points, not necessarily grade points, but it could be like a game, like scoring points, and every member of the team can gain points, even if they're like you would say like a weak player or a weak member of the group, they can still gain points. If they beat their own personal record, that gains points for the team, and if your team does better than another team, they gain points for the team. So everybody has a way to contribute to the team and to gaining points.
Potent, making the student feel potent. That part of the paper was pretty much just saying students need to feel like what they do is important and what they do has an effect on their grade and has an effect on their life, because a lot of times students feel, you know, they work hard, they work really hard on these things that they have to turn into the teacher, but it's not, I don't know, it may not be received well by the teacher, they may not get the best grade on it, and they need to feel like what they do matters. And what does he talk about? He talks about bringing in the connection, having, what was the word? Having the continual assessments, but the PR, so that they see that their work is leading to them doing better and better, and not just, oh, it's proficient this time, because that doesn't really mean anything to a student. Students don't care if it's proficient for somebody else, or sometimes they care too much because then they feel like, oh, well, she got a better grade than I did and I'm still not doing well. But if they see themselves progressing, then they know that their work is being appreciated. And yeah, they need to have that connection between hard work and achievement.
Right, so if they hear proficient or not proficient, they hear good enough or not good enough. So if they have a personal record, it's more like you did, if they did really well, even if they're still not proficient, but they're still doing well and they're still increasing their own personal record, then they are good enough, they are doing well enough, and they see that they're doing better. And then they see that their hard work pays off. And so I thought potent was kind of like feeling powerful. So they need to feel powerful in their own life.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Seeing an increase in their own personal record makes them powerful and have more self-worth, and so they're more willing to be motivated and continue. Alright, and optimism. This funny thing, actually, they didn't even mention the word optimism under optimism, so they were just saying basically when students see success, or students, skateboarders, whoever it is, an athlete, when you see success after an obviously difficult task, then it gives you a sense of personal worth, and it gives you an increased desire to try again or to keep going. So students who work hard, it kind of goes along with the potency. Students who work hard and see the outcomes of their hard work are more willing to keep going. Even if they fail, they know that their hard work will eventually pay off, and so they're more willing. The students who think that like, oh, it's just bad luck, or the teacher doesn't like me so they gave me a bad grade or whatever, are placing the blame on other people rather than having the feeling of powerfulness or power in their own lives. And so they blame others and aren't motivated because they don't think they have any control over their own life.
And this is just a cool little thing we found online.
A picture of a quote we found that's really literally. It says, optimism is essential to achievement. It is also the foundation of courage and true progress.
That's good. So, in conclusion, the things that we should do to help keep students trying to stay motivated in the classroom, we need to, instead of doing like the average or proficient, we need to incorporate a personal record so students see themselves progressing and not just hearing, oh, well, you know, it's up to standards. Like students don't care about the standards. They need to know how they're doing, and also we should, as teachers, make the classroom feel like a community, like a family, so students feel like it is important for them to be a part of the family. It is important for them to put forth the effort in the classroom, because if they don't, it's, well, one, it's not good for their grades, and two, it kind of isolates the student and doesn't give them a good feeling about being in school. So that's important, making the classroom feel like a community, and helping to bridge the gap, helping students see the link between effort and success, helping them understand that the harder you work, it will pay off in the way you feel about yourself, it will pay off in your achievements, because a lot of the times in the classroom, it's not as evident, I guess, because even if you get an A, you still don't feel like, I don't know, sometimes students don't feel like they understand it, you know, they did the work. They need to be able to bridge that gap between doing the work and feeling achievement. And the last one, being non-judgmental, that pretty much goes along with trying to use the personal record instead of standards or being proficient.
So yeah, in conclusion of all this, in the classroom, comparing athletes and skateboarders to being teachers, we could be academic coaches, as Sue said, academic coaches and guides. And if we believe that our students can prevail, and help them to see that also by making them feel competent, useful, belonging, potent, and optimistic about themselves, they're more likely to succeed and be motivated.